Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Woman vs. Travels, and today we are talking about everything you need to know after arriving at the airport and preparing for your departure. For those of you that don't know, this is a part 2 of my mini-series on everything you need to know before traveling. I am an international school educator, and I have been a solo female traveler for about 7 years now, which is crazy. And I figured I wanted to combine all of my learned lessons into one space for those of you that are getting ready for the trip of your lifetime, for those of you that might have some anxiety about the flight itself, or even what to expect at the airport when you get there. Okay, so buckle up, let's get ready for our journey. In my first video, I talked a lot about everything that you need to know before booking your flight, as well as what you need to know during the booking process. I talked a lot about accommodation. For those of you that don't know and are new here, I had to relearn how to walk. So you will see me reference that multiple times throughout this mini-series because it has impacted the way that I live my life, and it's also allowed me to see more about accessibility when traveling overseas. I will link our first video here. Hopefully I know how to edit that in. And let's get going. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking to you about everything you need to know about our departure day. So I've gone ahead and made a short list, with our first topic being about terminals. When you get to the airport, you usually have two important levels. One is going to be your domestic departure place, and then the other is international departures. For those of you that don't understand my terminology, a domestic departure is when you are leaving your city that you are in right now, and then arriving in a location that's still within the same country. You are departing. Now, if you are in the international departure area, this is usually a lot larger, and this is for where you are going to catch your connecting or direct flight to another country. Now, when I talk about connecting flights, I guess that's another term that you might need to know. These are when you have some flights where you land in a place and you stay there for a while, whether in the plane or at the airport itself before your next flight. Some people call it a layover. The two terms are quite similar. You just got to the airport, you used a trolley, now you're through the doors and you're wondering, what do I do next? The airport process is pretty simple after this. Number 1, you go through check-in. Number 2 is security. And then number 3 is gate. So I'll talk about them all in detail, starting off with check-in. So check-in kind of comes in two different forms. Number 1, if you are flying overseas and you're bringing these really, really big luggages, what's going to happen is when you check in online, this is good. It helps reserve your spot. It helps make sure that they can prepare what maybe food you are going to eat on the plane, maybe how many baggage you're going to bring, any important information like documents and visas. All that's going to be taken care of online, but they still will not give you a boarding pass, which has a QR code to enter the plane until you get to the airport, okay? So what's going to happen is now you're at the airport, you did your virtual check-in, now you have to go to the front desk. This front desk is going to label your luggage, they're going to weigh it to make sure that it falls within guidelines. They're going to ask you if you're bringing any dangerous or prohibited goods, and then they will put that into the conveyor belt to then be loaded into the bottom of the plane. It's so important that you put a good email, phone number, and home address when you're labeling your luggage in case it gets lost on the way. It happens. It does happen. Okay, you've checked in. Now you have your carry-on. This is usually something that can either fit in the overhead cabins, so things that go above your head when you're sitting on the plane, or something that can go underneath your seat. So when you have these two items, you are going to move through security. Now, if you're like, I don't need to bring this big old luggage with me, I'm fine with just a backpack. If you're like that, which I am, fabulous. Skip all that. Check in online. You usually get your boarding pass because you're not taking a huge luggage, and you can go straight to the security line. You don't have to talk to anyone. You walk through the door of the airport and you're on your way. The final thing I'll talk about when it comes to check-in is that it would be helpful to have your boarding pass digitally. I know some people like to print it just in case. I don't think that's a bad idea. But if you choose to print out your boarding pass at the front desk when you're checking in, it's usually going to cost you some extra money. And airlines are like really, I think, scamming and cheating people with the amount of money that they're charging just to print that one piece of paper. Either print it at home, or what I do is I have a digital file saved to my Apple Wallet, or I will screenshot it as a picture and save it into my favorite album on my phone, and it's something I can just pop up whenever I need. Part 2 is security. Security is a required process for domestic and international flights, no matter what. My tip is that you are prepared. So when you go through the security line, 1, make sure you have no water in your water bottle. Number 2, make sure you have no prohibited or dangerous items. What that means is lithium batteries. So double check phones, battery packs, cameras. Open up your carry-on. They will go through your belongings in front of everyone. And it's just something to keep track of. If you're traveling with a digital, disposable, or what are they called? Disposable, digital. Starts with a P. Oh, what's it called? I forgot what this was called. I think it starts with a P. I don't remember. Polaroid. If you are traveling with a Polaroid camera, digital, or the other one, make sure that you ask your TSA agent, your security agent, if they can go through this manually, and that way it doesn't damage your film, okay? Definitely ask about that. You do not want your film to be ruined even before you make your trip. Documentation in your hand to show security when you get there. Some airports I've been to don't care to look at it. Some, they want to see it before they even let you pass through any of their machines, just as a way of confirming that you are a passenger and you have a valid flight to enter to. In America, you can get into a special travel line. If you pay for extra money, I'm sure all countries have a version of this. You pay extra money and you can skip lines of security. But honestly, security goes by pretty fast. It's migration that takes a little bit of time, a little bit more time. You made it through security. Congratulations! Now it's time to go ahead and figure out where you go to for your gate. Usually after security, you have these huge TVs. And on the TV, you will see your flight. You will see your flight number that matches your boarding pass. And then you will also see the time and the gate. What happens when I'm at my gate? So they usually look like this. They have a ton of waiting areas and seats. You will see sometimes, especially on international flights, those that have really long layovers or connecting flights, they will use this space as a mini bed. So just be mindful of your belongings if you are choosing to do that. I've done that multiple times. Just take care of your stuff and do not leave them on your own. Take them with you when you use the bathroom. Brings me back to your gate. You've arrived at this brings me back to your gate. So you've arrived at your gate. Oh my gosh. You've arrived at your gate. You've arrived at your gate and it is time to board. What you're going to be listening for, or at least watching on the screen, because let's be real, we can never really hear what they're saying into that microphone. You're going to have your flight number, the destination, the time, and then they will say boarding group 1, boarding group 2, or boarding group A. Just pay attention to what's on your boarding pass, and that's when you line up. My suggestion, honestly, just wait. Just sit for as long as possible, because you're just going to be standing with all of your stuff, dragging it on the floor because you're tired of holding it. Just sit and wait. You have a spot. You already made it past there. So just be patient. Relax. Chill. Your group is called, you're going to present your ID, you're going to present your boarding pass and your passport or your driver's license. And basically they're going to check that your name is the same. They're going to scan your ticket to ensure that you are actually supposed to be on this flight. And then you make your way to your seat. Airports themselves, there are some things to note. Number one, prices are high. Like, I hate getting airport food because you spend so much money, like double, I can't say triple, but definitely double at times what you would pay outside the airport on the street. Like, it's really ridiculous. Technically, there are some laws, especially like in the US, that it's supposed to match just with, I think, like a 10% tax what you see on the street. Like, there are some legality to it, but what you notice is a lot of these private companies that own a variety of products basically upmark, and there's no one there holding them accountable. So my suggestion is bring your own food, okay? So when I say that, number one, I'm talking about dry food. Things like sandwiches, chips, fruit. When I say fruit, also things like oranges, apples, things that can be in a clear plastic sealed bag and can't melt. I've eaten so many times at the airport and I get grumpy every time. Okay? I always try to bring my water bottle or at least purchase a water at the kiosk that I can then refill later on. But I would do some research on the city that you're at, the country that you're in, because sometimes it's okay to get the water from the faucet in the bathroom, and then other times, I would stay clear. Something to consider, and I talked about with limited mobility access, is that when you are boarding the plane, you might require some special assistance. Number one, I completely suggest that you get preferential or accommodations when you are purchasing your ticket. It is so important. Airports are incredibly big. You are carrying your belongings. You're rushing. You're thinking of what you have to do. Sometimes our gates are changed. You might be on one side of the airport and then last minute they call overhead for you to go on the completely opposite side. These things happen all the time. And if you are struggling with that, then it's better to be safer than sorry. And include that in your ticket. If you know ahead of time that you are going to have trouble, then please be prepared. Of course, if you get into an accident or something right before your trip and you didn't put that in your ticket, then I'm sure you can call your airline and make some arrangements. But some things that you might notice as well is when it comes time to board, there are situations and there are some airports, especially in Europe that I've been in, where they make you go downstairs after going through the boarding checkpoint. Okay, so the lady or man will scan your ticket, will scan your boarding pass. They will check your ID and they will say, okay, you can go behind me past the security checkpoint. And instead of walking through this tunnel to then get into the plane, they might have you go downstairs onto the road and either onto a bus to take you to a plane that's way further out, or they will have you actually walk to the plane itself and then take stairs that goes up into the plane. So that is just so much movement for people that don't have access. So again, I say this because if you have put in your ticket ahead of time that you need some accessibility, some help, they will have people that can take you from gate to gate, that will arrange for your transportation if you have a layover or if your gate has been changed, for them to get you there on time. They will wait for you because everyone is in communication with each other. And on top of that, if they have to take you on a bus, if they have to have other passengers go down and then go up, they will take you to other parts of the airport that have ramps for wheelchairs or motorized scooters to get you there on time and safely. Okay, so just a heads up. The thing I will talk about is random security checks. I have been pulled randomly for security several times throughout the years, and it's just part of the process. It's how airports keep themselves safe. Now, how are people chosen for random selection? I do not know. Sometimes I feel very strongly that it's because it's racially based. I don't know. There's been a few instances that just really fires me up. But what to know is, number one, if you do get pulled for that, they're going to take you to a separate room. They are going to ask you where you are going, how long you're going to stay there, who do you know there, what are your plans when you get there. They're going to double check your passport a few times. They might take it, they'll bring it back, or your ID. They're going to look at your boarding pass, and then they might put your items through security one more time. Again, they're just doing their job. They're making sure that everyone's going to be protected on this flight. You just got to go through the process. I will say, though, that if security takes a long time and you do not make it to your gate on time, it is what it is. There is no kind, at least to my knowledge so far, there is no protection against that. If they keep you longer and you miss your connecting flight, you miss your connecting flight. So my other tip is make sure you have enough time. Make sure you have enough of a layover if you are stopping somewhere internationally or even domestically. Some airlines like to offer 45 minutes. I never, ever, ever suggest waiting somewhere 45 minutes because there is just such a high risk that your flight is going to be delayed. A flight could be a little bit early. A flight could be canceled. Like, it's just not worth it. So that's my little rant. I threw a lot of information at you, but again, I wanted to break this down into many parts, give as many details as possible, because I want you to feel comfortable. I want you to feel safe and confident and really just worry less about the process and more about what you're gonna do next. You can go ahead and hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Leave a comment below. Your engagement helps me a lot. I am new to this YouTube journey, but I'm kind of having fun. This is like my way of documenting things that I've learned, my travel antics, the people that I've met along the way, the lessons that have been bestowed upon me because of my own mistakes or curiosity. So thank you for joining this community, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.